Welcome back everyone to this week's Last Week Wednesday. So I have a funny deck today and one of my more serious competitive-ish builds. Funny deck I took to Primal Nerds on Tuesday, and that was Beauregard line looking for a brawl. This is the starter deck Beauregard, and I thought, you know what? She looks just fun enough to try to make her work. She's a 6 hand size, 22 health character. Brawler, Mighty 9, and Spy with Earth, Fire, and Water for her symbols. She has Enhanced Commit. Enhanced Commit. Add 1 attack with a 3 difficulty from your discard pile to your hand. Your next attack gets plus 3 damage. And I thought, I know these starter characters are supposed to be kind of bad. They're supposed to be just dead simple for brand new players. But I thought, you know what? I think it would be funny if I tried to make her work. And I did. And even though my locals was small, I did go undefeated 2 rounds with Beauregard Lionett. And she was actually kind of fun. So the main thing is she picks up a printed difficulty 3 attack. We pick up Besiege. If I built her on the Earth symbol, I would also be able to pick up a red Guard, I think it is. The Kirishima attack that if you block with it, you can flip a foundation so it deals no damage. But I can make this a 3 mid 7 with Beauregard's ability that's really hard to block at the end of a string. So I went with an all mids package so I could use double Jumbo Fist to add even more stats to things like Besiege or Attack Titan's Haymaker. And I will admit that the main power of this deck came from just comboing Attack Titan's Haymaker into Besiege, into Haymaker, into Besiege, and having my rivals really not know what the hell they're supposed to be blocking with. I believe that kind of mix-up was really taxing on my rivals' mental state. Sorry, Olin. And it was really easy to just do this kind of mix-up with extra stats from Double Jumbo Fist and some of the other cards that we'll see. And it was actually a really fun deck. I'm not saying I would take her to like a regional, but definitely if like we had a standard style store scramble, I would absolutely bring this character. I had Shoulder Toss because it was a throw with stun. As a brawler, I can give it Slam. And if it deals less than printed damage, I get to draw a card and ready a foundation, which is cool. I have Excited Blows. It's got Frenzy. It's also a mid attack. Frenzy is a blitz that says this attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage for each attack blocked this turn. And then if it itself is blocked, it can give my next attack Frenzy. So if I play this after like a double jumbo that got the enhance off to add another double jumbo in, it itself got +2/+2. That makes Excited Blows a 5/6, a 5 mid for 6. Not including any like Peerless Footworks that I have to boost damage or Terrific Trios. So then if this is blocked, I can give maybe that 3 mid 7 Besiege Frenzy as well and make it even faster and stronger. Like I said, Double Jumbo Fist. I liked Big Fist Bash for the Breaker 3, and also because if I have at least 3 or more cards in my card pool when I try to play it, it gets -1 difficulty and +2 damage. So it becomes a 3 mid 5. And a 3 diff. Unfortunately, it's only when you try to play it, so it's not like I can just defensively pick up Big Fist Bash. I never once used... Did I use the discard 2? I think I might have used the discard 2 to pick up a Besiege and play it again in a long string. But if I did that, I only did it once. I cannot entirely remember. I did have some non-mid attacks here. I had Therapeutic Exchange because I was just short on attacks, and this is a powerful 3. It's a 3 low 5, and if it's blocked, I get to add the top card of my rival's deck to their card pool. So it's a 1 high block. It's got a good synergy as a kick with the Peerless Footwork, and I could possibly card pool stuff. And then Big Fist Overhead Punch, 2 high 5 combo with a mid attack. Combo Enhance says I can look at the top 3 cards of my deck, put them back in any order, and then draw one. I don't think I ever drew this card. I think I might have just checked the 2 in my deck, and that was it. Asset-wise, I have Item Box. It is just one of the best defensive pieces in the game. Returns everything to its printed stats. It just refreshes the attack so it's back to normal. And then I had Sean Gilmore to extend my strings, or mostly block on defense. Getting +2 to my check to play a block, especially when I'm mostly committed out, is really strong. And then on my kill turns, if I've gone like 3 or 4 attacks in, making sure that I can pass the check for that besiege is really handy. And I love Sean Gilmore as a backup, and I've only had one opponent who's actually just attacked my backups because they're like, you're actually utilizing them, we need to get rid of them. I'm like, yeah. So don't let me just run rampant with my backups. I will hurt people. Peerless Footwork was the main clutch foundation because it gives my punch, kicks, and slams plus damage for free. And as a brawler, if my rival's not playing like a Godzilla type package, I can just give -1 speed to all of their printed 4 or less difficulty attacks. So this was really strong both offensively and defensively for that tournament. I had Rejuvenating Prayer for a bit of health gain, which is hilarious because half the time I forgot to use it because I forget it's a first enhance. Never used the Deflect 2, but I was able to just keep myself hovering around that 10 difficulty, that 10 health to get the extra damage on Aaron's Determination. If I mill one, it gets +2 damage if I'm at 10 or less health. So I kind of just hovered around 10 health for a while. Tusktooth's Crew, the discard 1, draw 1, the cycle draw was really good. And then as a brawler response, if my attack is completely blocked, I get to ready a foundation that hasn't been readied by flipping this card to further extend my strings. Run Idiot was good speed hate, plus a little bit of health gain. June's Flowing Strikes, I needed low blocks, and just popping this to stuff a card in my rival's card pool if they have 8 or more foundations isn't bad. Kazuma style traditional martial arts, I could flip this if there's a punch in my card pool, I get to draw a card. Most of these are punches with Excited Blows, Titan's Haymaker, Double Jumbo Fist, Big Fist Bash, and Overhand Punch. The only ones that aren't are Besiege, Therapeutic Exchange, and Shoulder Toss. But for the most part, I'm drawing a card, offensively or defensively. Capture the Target is really cool because it just says you have to have 3 or more attacks in your card pool to ready it. And if I play Double Jumbo Fist, use its ability to put a Double Jumbo Fist in my card pool from my discard pile, and then play my second attack, that automatically triggers Capture the Target. From basically playing 2 attacks, I just stuffed a third one in my card pool. So having multiple of those out really let me go deep on my attack strings. Terrific Trio, same thing. If you have 3 or more attacks in your card pool, I can remove this to give my attack 2 speed and 2 damage. So Double Jumbo, build in a Double Jumbo with itself, and then play like an Attack Titan's Haymaker, getting 2/2 from the 2 Double Jumbo Fists, and then 2/2 from Terrific Trio. So making this an 8 mid 9 plus any of my Peerless Footworks is really, really strong. Titanic Combat. I mainly use this on offense to commit and force my rival to commit a foundation and get a little bit of extra damage on something like a Besiege at the end of a string. But if I know I have to take at least 1 direct hit, I could also just build the top card of my deck face down committed so that I have more foundations on my next turn. Face Shield, we are a 7 hand size character with 1 less hand size, so Face Shield was a very strong defensive piece for me. Fast Friendship, great speed hate, because I flip cards like Tusktooth's Crew or Cosmo style traditional arts, or I had, I could build face downs with Titanic Combat, but also I had Warm and Bubbly, so if I've taken damage from like a partial block, I can give -2 damage. And Weightless, I can flip to ready another face down to again extend my strings or extend my chain blocking. Then Syndicate Target was just a good block and a 6 check. So yeah, this is a very simple Beauregard Lionette, and like I said, the main power comes from Attack Titan's Haymaker and Besiege really messing with your rival's head as to not knowing what they're allowed to block with. A lot of times I did just commit her to pick up a Besiege to block with it, because that +1 mid-block is really strong. And yeah, then I would commit her on my turn to pick up that Besiege I blocked with and play it offensively. And I think at one point I went double jumbo. I didn't have a second double jumbo. Into Haymaker, into Besiege, into Big Fist Bash. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I had the 2 extra cards in my hand, so I pitched those to pick up the Besiege, played the Besiege, committed her to pick up another Besiege, played another Besiege, all while readying my foundations with Capture the Target or Weightless, and getting the boost from checks from Sean Gilmore, and just doing that with 2 Peerless Footworks, adding damage to everything, just kind of works. I'm not saying this deck is good, because it's not, mainly because I forgot Excited Blows was only a 2 of in the Star Trek Challenger series, because I wanted to have the 2 Therapeutic Exchange be 2 more Excited Blows mainly, and obviously I would want a 4th Haymaker, but I don't own 4, so 4 Haymakers, change the exchanges into Excited Blows, and maybe nix the overhand punches, and just have that kind of thing. So it'd basically be get rid of these, get rid of these, put this to a 4 of, put this to a 4 of. Yeah, I would absolutely run a list like this. And yeah, I think she could be, straight from an. I mean, obviously, you would need to mess with the blocks, because, again, for these kind of decks, I sit on my floor and I build without even putting anything into Ultra, and I just go with it. So this was just a first draft. Hey, let's see if we can make a starter deck character good. And I'm not gonna lie, she was kind of fun. So if you wanted to try to pick up kind of a challenging character to build, go ham, man. This was fun. I really liked this. And then Saturday, I built a more competitive deck. You'll see tomorrow, I believe. Not tomorrow. This is Tuesday that I'm recording. This is last week Wednesday. So you'll see on Friday, I'm going to be releasing my competitive stable video. And one of the characters on it is Martial Law. This dude has been on my mind since he released. I did a Hermit style 1-attack deck with him using Spirit Sword Ultimate, where that's the only attack you play in the deck, and you just swing for your opponent's life total in one big hit. And that was fun. But I thought I could make him a little bit more serious. So he's a 7 hand size, 19 health character with the Brawler trait, Fire, Order, and Water. Response: after your rival commits 1 or more foundations during the enhanced step, this attack is +1 or -1 speed. And then response: excuse me. After you commit 1 or more foundations during the enhanced step, this attack is +1 or -1 damage. And this plays a lot like the bow deck, mainly because they share 2 symbols, they're both brawlers, but I chose a bit of a different route. I went the order route, mainly so I could play repeated 100% smash. Because there's a lot of cards that you want to commit on your turn and your rival's turn. So the ability to commit them on your turn and then ready them with repeated 100% smash to then commit them on your rival's turn is really powerful. So that's why I went with an order punches build. So I've got Excited Blows here, as you saw in the bow deck, Attack Titan's Haymaker, like in the bow deck. I've got Grace. No, I don't. June does. This is a stun 2, too low for 5, but with the stun 2, Law gets to respond for +1 speed, so it's a stun 2, 3 low for 5 technically, which isn't bad. I've got Harade Kanagi, which is just a 4 high 4 punch that says if I have at least 1 other punch in my card pool, it gets 1 speed and 1 damage. So just a little bit more stats. Knuckle Sandwich. This came in clutch all day. It's a 2 low 5. It combos with a punch. The combo says this attack gets 2 speed. If your rival has taken damage, this attack gets also 2 damage. So it becomes a 4 low 7. And if my rival tries to block with a non-attack card, their check to block gets -2. People were letting this through all day because they did not have attacks to block with. And I just sank 7, 9 damage every knuckle sandwich. And playing it as like my third attack after my rival's taken some damage, 4 low 7 is pretty good, especially when I'm committing your cards to give it more speed. It was a really solid card for seeing almost no play competitively. We talked a bit about repeated 100% smash. This was also my main momentum out, just powerful 3, EX3. I never use the 10 damages 10 or more. This checks cannot be modified because I modify checks. But just the ability to play this as like my third attack and ready 3 cards was really good. I think I also played it as my first attack, checked a 5, and then committed a Master of Drunken Fighting just to ready it back up again to use it on my next attack. So it was really cool. It's a really good flow piece. And then lastly, Final Smash, a 6-3, but it becomes a 4-3 if my rival has at least 8 foundations. 5 high for 6, that just lets me stack any card I want on top of my deck from my discard pile. So a 5 high for 6 is pretty good stats, and then just being able to stack more stats on it, or stack like a 5 diff or a 6 diff on top of my deck, and then check, for the 100% smash or the knuckle sandwich, and guarantee that I only have to commit maybe 1 foundation if at all, was really solid. Again, I've got Item Box, because on these 3 symbols, you just might as well play 1 Item Box. That card came in so much clutch, just setting everything back to printed. I had Protecting Whitestone, so this is a really cool action because as an enhance, I remove Whitestone to change the zone of the attack. And then when I play it, each player has to commit a foundation, which means I'm getting +1 speed and +1 damage, or -1 speed and -1 damage with a zone change, either to a zone I don't think you have, or a zone I can perfect block with. Law played serious defense. I think in one match, the first time I took damage, it was 2 damage, and it was on game 2. And that was the first damage dealt to me in that match. He plays some serious defense. And then, of course, Sean Gilmore, easily one of, if not the best backup introduced so far. Extends my string with the +2 to the check, or makes things easier to block. Onto foundations, of course, we have Peerless Footwork, because he's a brawler. So again, if I'm committing your stuff on your turn for -speed, and then I'm giving free -speed with my Brawler Enhance, I'm going to block everything. And since all my attacks are punches, this is just free extra damage. Tusstooth's Crew, same thing. Cycle Draw is really good, especially if I stack an attack on top of my deck with Final Smash, and then I just draw it with Tusstooth's Crew. And if you completely block something of mine, I get to ready a card like a Master of Drunken Fighting to completely reuse again. I've got Don't Do This. I discard a card, my attack gains stun. If I use stun 1, I'm going to get +1 speed. So just pitching foundations out of my hand to give my attack stun to give them even more speed is always good. Other Self is kind of like a mini item box, just returning an attack to its printed speed and damage. Power Drain was kind of cool. Once me and my rival both got to like 10 foundations, I could flip this and make us both commit 2, and then give -1 speed and -1 damage. On top of, hey, that's 2 resources you don't get to play on your turn. Really neat. Redirect Power to Shields, I can commit it and sack a foundation to reduce damage I would take by 3. It didn't really come up, but it could have been useful if I ever saw one. Defy Fate, I can sack a foundation to get +1 speed and damage to my punch attacks, so further stat stacking. Kazuma Style Traditional Martial Arts, I flip it to draw a card if there's a punch in my card pool. Military Police Presidents, this commits to give my attack stun 1 and 1 damage. So because I committed it, I get another 1 damage from Law. and then stun 1 gives my attack an additional speed. So this commits for 1 speed and 2 damage plus stun 1, which is a pretty good rate. Similar with Big Sister of 1B, I can commit it for plus 2 speed, and since no one plays 7-handers but me, I can also commit it for minus 2 speed. And then with the response, if it's committed during the enhanced step, I can give the attack plus 1 or minus 1 damage. So this was always plus 2 speed and damage or minus 2 speed and damage, simply for using one of its own committal effects, which is really strong. And the fact that that is not unique in him, I'm definitely going to be increasing the Big Sister count. Fighting for control, I love check hacking. It's one of my favorite defensive methods. But I'll be honest, it was only in here because I needed high blocks, and it was the first thing that I thought of. But flip it on my rival's turn. When they play a non-foundation, I can give that check -2. So just force them to commit more things. Master of Drunken Fighting is disgusting in him because I commit it, you commit a foundation. That's +1 speed and damage or -1 speed and damage. And I always did it on my rival's turn, and I was reducing damage to 0 more often than I was blocking because of the incredible amount of damage negation that this deck can put out. Acrobatic Style, it flips to ready itself after I commit a foundation due to a rival foundation due to my effect, which with all of my stun or Master of Drunken Fighting, I can do that. Heroic Endurance, another gross card in him. It commits itself for -2 damage, which then Law gives another -1 damage. And then as a Tenacious ability, it can remove itself for -2 damage, which says this one card is -5 damage. That practically cancels out an attack, especially if I'm doing Drunken Fighting stuff. It's just incredible. And then I had a cheeky Citywide Crisis, mainly because there's a lot of draw in the format right now, and there's a lot of like adding cards from your discard pile to your hand. So the cheeky, I'm going to commit this as a response. You added a card to your hand due to a non-character effect. You're going to add a card from your hand to your card pool face down. And then I could remove it to return an attack to printed speed as a Tenacious ability. It never came up. But that is the Martial Law deck. That was kind of like my first build, because I talked about him being one of my top 6 competitive decks that I wanted to play and kind of focus on for like local store championships and stuff like that. And this was my first go at it. Again, I need a 4th Haymaker. I need to get more Excited Blows. But this was fun. I really love Knuckle Sandwich. This card was so good to play, and seeing more than one in a turn. If I start a turn with like Attack Titan's Haymaker and you had to let it go because you only had foundations and nothing with printed difficulty 3 or greater, I just Knuckle Sandwiched for free all day. It was so good. It felt so good throwing these 4 low 7s, and then your checks to block are going to get -2 because you're blocking with non-attack cards. And it's just really tricky. The amount of you're not going to know how to block on the fire symbol between this, Attack Titan's Haymaker, if I had Besiege in here, which I don't because it's not a punch, and I wanted to focus more on just the punch aspect of everything. So Besiege, hit Titan's Haymaker, Knuckle Sandwich, just having you very unaware or uncomfortable of what you're able to block with at any given moment makes it so hard to sculpt a defensive hand. So you're like, okay, I need to keep a printed difficulty 3 or higher for Titan's Haymaker. I need to keep a +3 block modifier for Besiege. I need to keep an attack for Knuckle Sandwich. It's just really messed up how much anti-blocking the fire symbol has right now, and it's really something to explore if you're one of these like aggro, really like if you didn't care about like the punch keyword. Obviously Knuckle Sandwich kind of does, at least for the speed and damage, but again, Titan's Haymaker's a punch, and I'm sure there's other fire punches. Let's take a quick look. Standard fire punch. Punch. Where's the punch keyword? There we go. Yeah, you got 20 different punches. You got Titan's Haymaker, Blow to the Head, which if it deals damage, your rival has to discard a card and draw a card, and it's a random card. And if they're in Blitz, you can look at their hand and remove discard one card from it. That's pretty good. This gives your next attack +3 speed. Rupture Driver can make them spend a momentum, and you can give it speed and damage. You can Echo with Double Fist of the Mortal Flame. Fiery Vengeance, if they completely block it, you remove this card and they lose 2 health. That's pretty good. Calorie Counter, if they do manage to block, this becomes a 3 difficulty 5 mid for 6, which is gross. Flurry of Punches is cool. Haymaker's neat. I love the block trick of I'm going to Breaker 1 you and then you have to play an attack and eat the Breaker the hard way, or you have to discard a card. And then if you play late in a string and you have to commit a bunch of foundations, it only gets stronger. So you could play a Fire Punches, you're not going to know how to block deck and really mess with your rival and put a serious strain on their mental load. In fact, I think I know a character who wants to play something like that. Character, fire, let's go, come on. Whoops, too far. Character who wants to play that kind of game is Rappa. Because you can destroy a foundation, your check to play, or after you make a check to play or block an attack, play or block with an attack, that check is +2. In response, once per turn, discard a card. After your non-throw punch deals damage, you may play it from your card pool as your next form, so it's pseudo echo. So, yeah, that can really mess people up. You know what? No one take that. I'm going to do a Fire Rappa try to block this style deck, and that's going to be really fun and annoying. But that was what I played last week. Let me know what you thought of the decks below. If there are any other kind of offbeat, off-the-wall characters you want me to try, feel free to drop them in the comments below. There will not be a last week Wednesday for next week, because due to card trouble, I wasn't able to get to Primal, and I have a bunch of home improvement stuff to do on Saturday, so I will not be able to go to One Stop. So no last week Wednesday next week. But also I'm starting to practice with my most competitive character to prep for Louisville, to just start getting in the headspace. So a lot of what I'm going to be doing is going to be like proxy practice. But if there's an idea in the comments that I like of just a real off-the-wall kind of character, I'd absolutely be down to give it a whirl and try to put my own Hermit spin on it. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.